Welcome to Stories for Wonderful Children. I'm Dan Wendelin, your host and storyteller. Years ago, I began recording the bedtime stories I told my children every night. Now, we would like to share those stories with you. I hope you enjoy my Stories for Wonderful Children. Winella finished eating the last bite of her dinner. It had been an experiment dinner. Sometimes her mommy liked to look through her cookbook and find something she had never cooked before and try it out and see how everyone liked it. On this particular night, Winella's mommy had tried out the recipe for a type of soup called Gazpacho. And when she had tried it, something had gone somewhat awry. And this...
What does awry mean?
It means not quite right, a little off. And when the soup had come out, it had been a rather distinctive color of gray. And everyone had looked at it with a sort of look of trepidation on their face.
What does that mean?
Trepidation means you're worried about what's going to happen. They had a look of trepidation on their faces. But Winella's mommy had said, well, come on, how bad can it be? And so she had spooned it out into bowls, and they had tried it. And much to Winella's surprise, it had actually tasted much better than it looked. Which wasn't to say that it was good, it just wasn't as bad as it looked. Everyone in the family agreed that it was not their favorite. And so after they had had some of the soup, they had all had some fruit and some peas and big glasses of smoothie to wash the taste of the gray soup out of their mouths.
It was no longer gazpacho.
It was not gazpacho soup.
Gunk.
It was supposed to be gazpacho.
It was gack.
Yeah, it was supposed to be gazpacho, but it had not turned out like gazpacho. So after that, Winella had gone...
The problem is that she put the wrong ingredients.
She might have, or she might have cooked it not quite the right way. Hard to know. She wasn't really sure what had gone wrong.
Maybe she put it in the microwave instead of in the oven.
Maybe. So anyway, Winella had gone upstairs to get changed for bed. And when she walked...
Maybe the cookbook was written too fast.
Or written wrong. Maybe there was a mistake in the cookbook.
Or maybe to make the ingredients. And maybe they put some salt and the pepper, and they mix some Jell-O with some corn, and they stirred it all up, and they put it in the wrong ingredients to make some dinner that's very yummy.
So.
You call gray soup good?
No.
I call it yuck. I call it gack.
Okay, I'm going to go on with the story now. You ready to listen?
Yeah.
Okay. When Winella got up to her room and turned on the light, she stopped. And her mouth dropped open. And she screamed. And her mommy and daddy and Wally all came running upstairs to see what was the matter. When they got there, Winella was still just standing there looking at her room. And they all just stood there. Everything in Winella's room was black and orange. The walls were black, the floor was orange, the ceiling was orange, even the ceiling fan was black and orange. Her pillow was orange and her bedspread was black. Everything in Winella's room was black and orange, except for pink and blue, her dog and cat.
Her dog and cat were pink and blue.
Yes, her cat and dog.
Just like my blanket.
But they had not been in the room during dinner. They had been downstairs. They had just wandered in when Winella had come upstairs, and they had heard her scream. Winella said, what in the world is going on? And her daddy said, I don't know. And her mommy said, I don't know. And her brother Wally said, I don't know, but can I have your room? It's cool now. And Winella said, no. She said, I'm going downstairs and see if Sarah Mae Figman knows what's going on. So she slid down to the first floor and then walked down to the second floor. And on the way by, she talked to Sad Bear to tell him what had happened. And of course, he started crying about it. which she didn't find very helpful. So she went on She went on to the room where Sarah Mae Figment was, and Sarah Mae Figment yawned and stretched and said, "No, no, I don't have any idea what happened."
What?
She said, "No, Winella, I don't have any idea what happened." It was hard to understand her because she was yawning so big. And so Winella said, "Okay, well, thank you anyway." Winella went up to her room, and she looked under her bed. She came out from under her bed with a box, and she opened up the box, and there, inside the box, was her wand. And she got her wand out, and she tried to remember how to use the wand to find out what had happened someplace. She thought about it for a minute, and she then tossed the wand up in the air, and it spun around once, and she caught it. And then she turned slowly in a circle around the room, and then she said, "Boo!" And she felt dizzy for a second. She had to close her eyes. And when she closed her eyes, she had a vision for a moment. It was almost as if someone had flashed a photograph in front of her eyes and then taken it away. She saw her beloved pink and blue room, but standing in the middle of it was a funny-looking person with a head that sort of looked like a wolf, and dressed all in orange and black. And that was all she saw. So she decided that she needed to go see if she could find someone who knew what was going on. But it was already too late that night, and so she couldn't go. So she went to bed. She went to sleep. And even though her bed was different colors, it was still very comfortable, and she slept the whole night. When she woke up in the morning, she went to the Cat's Paw Highway to Flibbertigibbet's palace, and he said, "Oh, Winella, I've not seen you in some time. Thank you for coming and visiting me. Is there a problem?" And Winella told him. He said, "Oh, this strange character. I do not know who that is. I've not heard of such a character before, who'd turn soup grey and turn rooms orange and black." And Winella said, No, I don't think he turned our soup grey. I think that was my mother." And so Flibbertigibbet said, "Oh, all right. Well, I do know who your mother is, but I do not know who this character in the orange and black is." He said, "Maybe you should go and ask the ancient cat." "The who?" said Winella. "The ancient cat. He is the oldest of all cats, and he knows pretty much most things that are worth knowing. Now, I do not know something, and I need advice. That is who I go and ask, the ancient cat." Winella said, "Does he have a name besides, the ancient cat?" And Flibbertigibbet said, "Oh, yes, but he has been alive so long that no one remembers it. He does not tell us." And Winella said, "So what do you call him?" "We call him the ancient cat." "Okay," said Winella. "So where do I find him?" You may find him in a clearing in the jungle. I'll have some of my guards to walk with you." So,
Should have taken the cat.
that's exactly what Winella said. She said, "Can't we just take the Cat's Paw Highway?" And Flibbertigibbet said, "No, the ancient cat, he said he likes to be able to hear people coming. So, I have respected his wishes."
He doesn't like Cat's Paw Highway?
No. And
Why?
I have not built a Cat's Paw Highway to his clearing. Winella said, "All right, walking it is." So Flibbertigibbet told two of his guards to go with her to show her the way, and she walked through the jungle. It was a long walk. She had to walk for a couple hours, so she was tired and sore by the time she got there. She got there, and there in the middle of the clearing there was a stump of a tree. It must have been an enormous tree when it was alive. But now it was a broad stump, and over the stump were laid lots of sort of soft plants. And there in the middle was a cat. The cat was so gray that he was almost white. Everything about him was gray. Even his eyes, it looked like he was now blind because he was so old and his eyes were gray. And the cat said, "I hear you there. Who are you? State your business." Winella said, "Hello, I'm Winella." "You're not a cat. I only speak to cats. Go away." And Winella said, "Well, yes, but I'm a friend of King Flibbertigibbet, and he said that you could perhaps help me. Oh, maybe. Depends what kind of mood I'm in. Why don't you tell me your problem and I'll see if I feel like it. And Winella said, well, and she told him the story of her evening. And the ancient cat said, you've got a jackal. A what? Said Winella. You got Jackal. Jackal, he's a trickster. He likes to play tricks. He probably ruined that soup, too. But I wouldn't worry about it. He usually just goes from place to place, plays his tricks, and moves on. Doesn't usually stick around long. He's probably long gone. Is there a way I could find out if he's around? Let me think about that. Not that I know of. I know pretty much most things, so, I think you just don't worry about it. Go home. But I want my room to be pink and blue again. Oh, well, that's something different than, yes, you do have to find this jackal. Well, I guess you better call him then. How do I do that? Said Winella. Well, you do this. You stand outside on your front porch and you yell, Jackal! That's it, said Winella. Yeah, that's it. What, you were expecting something fancier? Tough. Get out of here. You're not a cat anyway. All right, thank you, said Winella. She took her long walk back through the jungle, took the cat's paw highway back to her house after telling Flibbertigibbet about what she had discovered. And then she went home. She stood out on her front porch and she said, Jackal! She waited a minute. Nothing happened. So she took a deeper breath and yelled, Jackal! And then she heard a whispery voice behind her. You don't have to yell. I'm standing right here. And she jumped, and she turned around, and sure enough, there behind her was the creature she had glimpsed in her vision. He was dressed all in orange and black leather. They were made of little squares, so he looked like he was dressed in a checkerboard, a leather checkerboard almost. And he was covered with sort of reddish-brown hair, and his head was not a person's head, it was the head of a jackal.
A jackal.
A jackal is sort of like a dog. It's like a dog. Winella said, yes. Did you turn my room orange and black? Yeah, I reckon I did. That's a pretty good trick. I thought it was hilarious. Winella said, yes, well, it was very funny. You got me. Now, could I have my pink and blue room back now? Oh, I don't think so. I never reverse my tricks. Winella said, well, is there some way I could convince you? Let me think. No. And I said, well, you're not very nice, are you? I am what I am. I'm the jackal. So, nice meeting you, or not. Bye now. When I said, no, wait. But he was gone. She sighed. She yelled, Jackal! I'm really getting tired of you summoning me back here. Well, I intend to keep talking to you until you give me my way. Well, you and I aren't going to get along very well then, are we?
Paint your room pink and blue again.
Winella said, listen, let me make you a deal. I know someone else who likes tricks, and I'll introduce you to Flip Flop. You can have a grand time together and play some good jokes together, if you'll turn my room back to pink and blue. No, I don't think so. Anyway, you got a wand. I saw it in that box under your bed. Turn your own room pink and blue, and don't call me again. He was gone. Winella stood there for a second and then slapped her forehead. She said, of course. She went back up to her room. She said, let's see, pink and blue, pink and blue, pink and blue, pink and blue, pink and blue. And she pointed her wand up at the ceiling, and a light shot up from her wand, and where it hit the ceiling started turning blue, and the blue spread across to the walls where it turned pink, and spread down to the floor where it turned blue again, and across her bed. And then everything was back the way it should be, except the ceiling fan, which was pink and blue instead of being purple. And she remembered that the ceiling fan was really not just a ceiling fan, so she said, ceiling fan, turn yourself back to your right color. And it went beep, beep, and then it was purple. Winella said, all right. So she put her wand in her box back under her bed. And then she went downstairs, and she told her mother that she ought to try making the gazpacho again sometime, because she sort of suspected that this trickster had ruined the soup, and that perhaps her mom hadn't made a mistake and they ought to try it again. And so her mom did. About a week later, she tried making the gazpacho again, and it was perfect, like it was supposed to be. It was very tasty, and they decided that it was indeed, perhaps, their favorite soup. But Winella wondered. She wondered about that jackal, if she might not cross paths again with him again. But that is a story for another night.
Thanks for listening to Stories for Wonderful Children. I created today's story, but questions and witty commentary were supplied by my children. The music was created by Brandon Thompson. If you enjoy the show, please tell someone about it or leave a review on your podcast provider. Our website is storiesforwonderfulchildren.com, and you can also find us on most social media. I'm Dan Wendelin, reminding you to tell someone you love a story.